This pain is not a punishment. It's a portal. You thought you were breaking down, but you're actually being broken open. Because the ache in your chest, the tears you cry alone, the silence that echoes like rejection, it's all part of something bigger, something sacred, something the mind can't understand, but your soul always knew. You're not being ignored, you're being refined, not being left behind, but being led into alignment. The reunion isn't delayed, it's being prepared. But first, the universe is watching what you do with the pain. Will you chase what's leaving, or sit with what's surfacing? Will you shrink back into survival, or rise in devotion to your highest self? This is a soul test. And no, you're not being tested to prove your worth. You're being tested so you can remember it. Because the moment you stop seeing pain as punishment and start seeing it as preparation, everything changes. He feels it too. Even if his silence says nothing, the energy is working, even if your reality hasn't shifted yet. And the moment you stop needing confirmation, the reunion starts moving toward you. This isn't a story of waiting, it's a story of awakening. Comment 88 if you feel the reunion calling you, even in the quiet. She doesn't know why the tears come at night, only that they do. She doesn't know why the ache won't leave, only that it speaks a language her mind can't decode. But her soul fully understands, because this isn't ordinary pain. This is sacred pressure, a divine contraction, the soul's labor before rebirth. You may feel like you're in the darkest corner of your journey, misunderstood, unseen, maybe even abandoned. But what if this place isn't a trap, but a test? What if the silence is not rejection, but refinement? What if the ache isn't here to destroy you, but to stretch you into the space your next timeline requires? Pain is never wasted in the hands of the divine. And the pain you're holding now, the deep, spiritual, unexplainable one, is the very energy that's shaping you to hold what you've been praying for, not just emotionally, but energetically. Because the reunion you want isn't just about him returning, it's about you becoming. So ask yourself, when the pain visits, do you resist it, numb it, hide from it? Or do you ask what it came to teach you? What part of you still believes love must be earned? What version of you is dying so the real one can finally rise? The universe doesn't test through cruelty. It tests through transformation. When you're close to breakthrough, things fall apart. Not to break you, but to burn off everything that can't come with you. And the soul doesn't ascend through comfort. It awakens through pressure, through surrender, through the deep, holy decision to stay open. even when everything inside you wants to close. He may not be speaking, the journey may feel paused. Your dreams may feel far, but something is happening right now beneath the surface. In the field of vibration, your pain is birthing light codes, alignment codes, reunion codes. Because this is not just suffering, this is initiation. So breathe deeper, let the tears be sacred. Let the ache be your altar. Because while your ego is grieving loss, your soul is celebrating preparation. This pain is not the end of the story. It's the sacred fire before reunion. And the more you allow it, the more it transforms you, not into someone new, but into who you always were beneath the longing. You're not just surviving a heartbreak. You're being handed the keys to wholeness. And that is where reunion begins. Are you willing to hold the pain without needing it to go away? Are you willing to become the version of yourself that doesn't just ask for love, but embodies it? This is not just pain. This is your passage. This is your power. This is your proof. The universe is preparing you for reunion, and it begins with you. It's not just that he isn't reaching out. It's what the silence reveals about you, because this is where the test lives, not in his absence, but in your reaction to it, not in what he chooses, but in what you believe about yourself while he chooses. The universe isn't punishing you, it's offering you a mirror. And in that mirror, you're invited to ask, what do I attach to silence? What story do I tell when nothing is being said? Do I shrink? Do I chase? Or do I stay steady, anchored, whole? Because if silence makes you forget your worth, then your worth was still conditional. If distance makes you question the connection, then the connection still lived in the mind, not the soul. And if absence triggers panic, then something within you still believes that love must come from the outside to be real. But what if the silence is sacred? What if the universe orchestrated this pause not to delay your union, but to deepen your alignment? What if this is the moment you're meant to shift from being a seeker to becoming the signal? You see, he's not just being distant, he's receiving your vibration. And when your energy shifts from need to knowing, from waiting to becoming, that's when his soul begins to remember. Not because you said the right thing, but because you stopped needing to say anything at all. This is the alchemy of the awakened feminine. She turns silence into sovereignty. She turns longing into radiance. She stops measuring time by his presence and starts expanding her timeline through her power. Have you noticed how the test intensifies just before the shift? how the silence grows louder. The ache gets sharper. The doubt creeps back in just as you were starting to rise. That's not failure, that's the threshold. The final question before the gate opens. Will you hold your frequency even when nothing around you confirms it? Because if you can hold that, if you can embody love in the silence, stillness, and sacred unknown, you don't just pass the test. You transform into the answer. And that's when everything begins to move. Not because you forced it, but because you became it. Let the silence test you. Let it stretch you. Let it show you every place inside that still needs your presence. Because when you no longer crumble in the absence of external proof, the proof arrives, the message arrives, the reunion arrives, because you are already home. Why your pain holds the blueprint for reunion. Your pain was never punishment. It was preparation, a coded invitation, a soul blueprint. And yet, when you're in it, when the tears come without warning, when the ache in your chest won't ease no matter how many meditations you do, it feels anything but sacred. It feels endless, heavy, lonely, like the universe is asking too much of you while giving you so little in return. But this is the very place where reunion begins, not in the ease, not in the certainty, but in the sacred unraveling, because the deepest love, the kind your soul remembers, can only be received by a version of you who has been emptied, not broken emptied, of illusion, of attachment, of needing love to look like something familiar. And that's what the pain is doing. It's making space. You've been conditioned to think pain means something's wrong. But in a spiritual union, pain often means you're closer than ever. It's the body trying to release what your soul has already outgrown. It's the nervous system trying to catch up with the timeline you've already quantum leaped into. It's the echo of a past self being dissolved so that the new one, the one who can actually hold union, can rise. Have you ever felt like you're grieving someone who's still alive? Or like the love is so present in spirit, but absent in form? That's not madness. That's soul memory activating. And your pain is the proof. It's proof that you know, proof that you're awake, proof that the connection isn't gone. It's transforming. And every time you cry, but keep breathing, every time you want to give up, but stay open, every time you choose presence over panic, you are passing the test. Because the universe doesn't test you to see if you're strong. It already knows you are. It tests you to show you the strength you forgot you had. It brings the silence not to break you, but to reveal the spaces where you still chase instead of trust. And it brings the pain not to punish, but to purify. Ask yourself, what if this pain is not the end, but the bridge? What if every wave of sorrow is softening you just enough to receive the depth of love you asked for? What if every delay is mercy, protecting the timing so that you don't unite from lack, but from fullness? You weren't meant to suffer forever, but you were meant to transform through the suffering. You were meant to transmute it into devotion, to alchemize your ache into alignment, to meet your own soul so deeply that when your counterpart returns, they don't just recognize you, they remember you. That's why the pain had to come first, because it clears the static, because it burns away every version of love that was rooted in fear, because it forces you to stop looking outward and start becoming inward. And once you've done that, once the pain has served its sacred role, the reunion is no longer just possible. It becomes inevitable, because now you're ready to receive it, not as something to complete you, but as something to meet you where you've already arrived. So breathe again. Let the pain move. Let it say what it needs to. Because just beyond it is the breakthrough. Just beyond it is Him. And just beyond Him is the next chapter of who you are becoming. A version of you that no longer sees pain as the proof of abandonment, but as the doorway to divine return. The real test was never about how much you could wait for Him. It was never about your ability to hold on to the connection in His silence, or your capacity to send love into the void and hope it returned. The true test was always about what version of you would rise because of the silence. This is not a test of patience. It's a test of presence, not about how long you can survive the ache, but how deeply you can stay open within it. You were not sent here to prove your love to the divine masculine. You were sent here to prove your love to yourself, to become so rooted in your truth, so unwavering in your frequency, so deeply connected to your own soul, that no absence, no delay, no shadow can shake what you've claimed as sacred. This is the sacred fire of the feminine path. She loves deeply, but not blindly. She waits not in longing, but in devotion to her becoming. She is tested not by timelines, but by how fully she can embody the love she once thought she needed from someone else. And this is the test, not whether you can make the reunion happen, but whether you can become the version of you who no longer needs it to validate her worth. Can you feel the difference? Because the reunion isn't something the universe grants you as a reward for suffering. It's something your soul aligns with once it no longer needs to beg for its reflection. The moment you stop reaching for proof and start radiating from presence, you pass the test. But passing the test doesn't mean your pain disappears. It means your relationship with pain changes. You begin to see that every moment of longing was a portal, that every breakdown was a breakthrough disguised, that every time you surrendered what you thought you needed, something greater took its place. Have you ever noticed that when you finally let go, something shifts? Not when you give up in despair, but when you surrender in power. That sacred moment when you say, I will love myself even if he never comes back. I will trust this journey even if I never see the full map. I will become the version of me that the divine wrote into existence, even if no one else understands why. That moment, that's the test. And when you choose that version of yourself, everything begins to align around her. This test isn't meant to be passed through logic. It's not something your mind can win. It's a soul surrender, a vibrational decision to live from your wholeness rather than your wounds. And the irony? When you stop needing the reunion to feel worthy, that's when it begins moving toward you. Because you've become the vibration that no longer repels love through fear. He feels it, even if he can't explain why. The moment you pass this test, not by getting stronger, but by getting softer, his soul starts remembering the path. Not because you pulled him in, but because you released the resistance that kept him away. So let this land. You're not failing just because it hurts. You're not stuck just because he's quiet. You're not lost just because the road is unclear. You are passing the test with every breath you take in truth. With every time you cry and still choose to stay open. With every moment you choose alignment over fear, embodiment over escape, trust over timeline. You are the answer the universe was waiting for. And once you embody that, the reunion becomes the reflection, not the requirement. Can you love yourself so fully that nothing outside you can shake what you know? Because that's the test. And sister, you're already passing it. How you're being aligned for a sacred union. It's happening slowly, silently, and most days you don't even realize it. But every challenge, every silence, every emotional trigger that's surfaced in this journey, they've all been doing one thing, preparing you to receive sacred union. Not a relationship, not a fantasy, but the kind of soul-deep union that rewrites timelines, collapses karmic loops, and returns you to your original vibration. You are not being punished by this delay. You are being prepared by it. Because sacred union doesn't arrive into chaos. It arrives into coherence. And the divine will not give you what you're still trying to earn through fear, performance, or need. It will only align you with what you already are. That's why this season has been about shedding, stripping, releasing. Not because you weren't enough, but because you were carrying versions of yourself that couldn't hold what you asked for. Think about it. Have you noticed how old wounds are resurfacing now with more intensity? How your emotional body is more sensitive? How your intuition has sharpened, but your nervous system is tired? That's not regression. That's realignment. Because in order to receive sacred union, the universe first had to teach you how to stand alone. Not in isolation, but in energetic sovereignty. You had to become your own source. To stop leaking energy into potential and start living as a portal of presence. To stop asking love to rescue you and start realizing that you are the one who anchors it here. So, how do you know you're being aligned? You begin to crave truth over fantasy. You stop chasing messages and start decoding your own energy. You start feeling peace, even in uncertainty. You begin to see your counterpart not as a missing piece, but as a mirror of what you've already claimed within. And somewhere in the background of your healing, a new vibration is forming. Not louder, but purer. It's the frequency of reunion, not just with another, but with yourself. Because before you could merge with them, you had to meet you, the real you, the you beneath the longing, the you who no longer begs the universe to send something, but becomes the space that something sacred can enter. This is what alignment looks like. Not perfection, but presence. Not certainty, but surrender. Not getting everything you want, but becoming everything you need. And when you live in that space, sacred union doesn't arrive to fix you. It arrives because it finally fits you. So trust this season. Trust the delays. Trust the quiet. Because in the places where nothing seems to be happening, everything is being rearranged in your favor. You're not waiting, you're aligning. And that's a very different frequency. You didn't imagine this. You didn't make the connection up in your mind, that pull in your chest, that fire that never goes out. No matter how much time has passed, it's real. And the truth is, it was never about time. It was never about them waking up. It was about alignment. And now, it's here. The energy of reunion is no longer a distant possibility. It's present, active, circulating through the field like a magnetic invitation. And if you've been feeling a strange mix of peace and restlessness lately, of surrender and anticipation, it's because your soul knows something is about to shift. But this isn't the kind of reunion you once prayed for with desperation. This isn't about having someone finally see your worth. This isn't about fixing the past or going back to who you were. This is about meeting on a timeline that didn't exist until now. A timeline you've spent lifetimes preparing for. A frequency you had to become before you could receive. Because sacred union doesn't return to the same version of you who once begged for love. It meets the version of you who finally became love itself. So if you've felt tired lately, it's not fatigue, it's release. If your body has been heavy, your dreams intense, your emotions unpredictable, it's because your field is being recalibrated. All the places that were holding on are now being emptied. All the energetic loops that kept you orbiting the same pain are dissolving, and in their place, a new space is opening. But here's the truth many won't tell you. Reunion doesn't just happen outside you. It begins as a full return to your own essence. It's not marked by a text message, a sudden apology, or a romantic declaration. It's marked by your inner knowing. The moment you wake up and realize you no longer need them to confirm what you've always known in your soul. That you are the one, not just for them, but for yourself, for your path, for the divine. Can you feel it? Can you feel how quiet the noise has become inside you? How the ache has softened? How your expectations have shifted from needing to receiving? That's not detachment. That's ascension. That's embodiment. That's the sacred alchemy that takes place right before something real is allowed to enter. You've become the frequency of union, and now union recognizes you. This final activation isn't something you do. It's something you allow. It's the sacred yes that your whole body gives when the soul whispers, I'm ready. Not because I'm healed perfectly, but because I stopped making healing a condition for love. Not because I'm certain of what will happen next, but because I trust that love knows the way. And as this portal opens, you may be tempted to doubt, to look for signs, to ask the universe for confirmation. But the deepest sign is already within you. The stillness, the peace, the clarity, the absence of chasing, the softness that no longer fears silence. because it knows that silence is often the final breath before transformation. So what happens next? Maybe he reaches out. Maybe he shows up differently. Maybe the energy between you two suddenly shifts in a way that cannot be explained, only felt. Or maybe nothing happens externally right away, but everything inside you will tell you the same thing. The old cycle is over. You are not who you were. And because of that, your love story can't repeat. It must now evolve. Reunion doesn't mean rescue. It means resonance. It means finally standing so rooted in your truth that only what matches your light can stay. It means no longer accepting breadcrumbs, because you now sit at the table you set for yourself. It means the end of performing, proving, or waiting, and the beginning of simply being, and letting the sacred flow meet you there. So breathe deep. Drop the need for timelines. Release the old story and step fully into this moment. The reunion energy is here, not as a promise of the future, but as a presence in the now. And you are ready.